Welcome to The Explainer. We're going to break down this massive $10 billion lawsuit between Donald Trump and the IRS. And there's a surprising new twist that suggests this whole thing might just get settled out of court.
All right, let's just jump right into the latest news, because this is a big one. The two sides are now officially in settlement talks, and that is a huge development that could potentially end this very public, high-stakes legal battle before it even really gets going.
So, what does that actually mean in talks? Well, it's serious enough that the court has hit the pause button on the entire case just to give them time to figure it out.
So if you look at a recent court filing, the lawyers for both sides have asked for a 90-day pause. The whole idea here is to have, productive discussions, and really to avoid what could be a super long, super messy, and very public legal fight.
Okay, so to really get why a settlement is even on the table, you have to understand what this lawsuit is all about. And the number at the heart of it, well, the number is just staggering.
Yeah, $10 billion. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. This is not your everyday legal spat. We're talking about a monumental claim against the U.S. government itself.
So what's this really all about? At its heart, the claim is pretty simple, that confidential tax information was illegally taken and then leaked to the press. The whole case boils down to this: were federal privacy laws broken? And if they were, what's the price tag on that damage?
So on one side, you've got the plaintiffs, Donald Trump, his sons Donald Jr. and Eric, and the Trump Organization. And who are they suing? Two huge parts of the U.S. government, the IRS and the Treasury Department. Now, you might be wondering, what would someone do with a potential $10 billion payday? Well, when Trump was asked, he said the money would all go to charity. He framed it as a way to turn a bad situation into something good for, as he put it, numerous very good charities.
Okay, so that's the lawsuit. But let's rewind a bit. How did we even get here? How did this super confidential information get out in the first place?
Well, the person at the center of all this wasn't actually an IRS employee. He was a contractor, Charles Littlejohn, who was working for Booz Allen Hamilton. And that's a really key detail, right? Because it brings up all these questions about security when the government uses third-party contractors.
And to give you a sense of just how big of a deal this was, the federal judge in the case called it the biggest heist in the history of the IRS. I mean, wow, the biggest heist? That really puts the scale of this crime into perspective.
So this whole thing didn't happen overnight. It actually unfolded over a few years. It all started back in 2019, when Littlejohn leaked Trump's tax returns to the New York Times. Then, a year later, in 2020, he did it again, leaking data on thousands of other wealthy Americans to ProPublica. It took until October of 2023 for him to finally plead guilty. And then in January of 2024, he got the maximum sentence, 5 years in prison.
Now, as you can probably guess, not everyone agrees on whether this lawsuit is even legitimate. You've got these two totally clashing views on the whole thing, where privacy, politics, and the law all kind of collide.
Okay, so from the Trump side, the argument is all about real, tangible harm. They're saying this leak wasn't just some invasion of privacy, it caused, and I'm quoting here, reputational and financial harm, public embarrassment, and it unfairly tarnished their business reputations.
But on the other side, you have critics like Senator Elizabeth Warren who see it completely differently. Their argument is that this lawsuit is a misuse of the law. They say the law was created to pay for proven, actual damages, not, in her words, to give a $10 billion windfall to a president seeking to line his own pockets.
And it's not just politicians pushing back. You've got a whole group of former government officials, including a former IRS commissioner, who actually filed a friend of the court brief. In it, they say the lawsuit has significant legal flaws, and they even warn it could become what's known as collusive litigation. Now, that's just a fancy legal term for a situation where it looks like the two sides in a lawsuit aren't really fighting, but maybe working together to get a result that isn't really in the public's best interest.
So, what's next? The big question, right? The case is on pause, but it is definitely not over yet.
So for the next 90 days, everything is happening behind closed doors. The focus is going to be on these private negotiations, not some big public court drama. And really, both sides have a good reason to want to avoid a long, expensive, and public legal fight. What that settlement might look like, though, that's anyone's guess.
And that really brings us back to the central question, doesn't it? Is this a historic, record-setting lawsuit to protect every American's right to financial privacy, or is it a massive political maneuver designed for a huge payday? I guess the outcome of these settlement talks is going to be the final word.